Alright, so before I get to the actual list, I do want to mention that I find it incredible that some of the strikes EA was able to animate perfectly in EA Sports UFC 2 are some of the most complicated strikes for a striker to actually attempt to throw in an actual fight. A very good example is the Mealua, the Half Moon. The strike, that same capoeira strike that Conor McGregor attempted a few times in his fight against Nate Diaz. Somehow they were able to animate that strike perfectly. It's a beauty when you throw it in EA Sports UFC 2, and it feels so satisfying when you actually land that strike. Another example is the Showtime kick off the cage, another complicated strike. Not a lot of people can attempt that strike in an actual fight, but somehow it was animated perfectly in the game. But then when you come to the basics, to the extreme basics of basics when it comes to kickboxing, they completely flunked it. A lot of these animations are so wrong, we absolutely need to address it, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do right now. So here we go. These are the top 10 strikes that I believe EA Sports absolutely needs to reanimate for EA Sports UFC 3. Number 10 is the jumping side kick to the body. The jumping side kick is the same exact kick that Jon Jones used to drop Vitor Belfort in his title defense against Vitor. That is not a very difficult kick to perform, and I don't understand the reason why that kick was not animated properly in the game. Here is what a proper jumping side kick to the body looks like. My biggest problem with that technique in the game is that it takes you from one end of the octagon all the way to the other end of the octagon. You cannot face a Conor McGregor player in the game and not have to deal with that strike over and over and over again. You think you're completely out of range, and they jump from one end of the octagon and somehow manage to land that kick even though you're on the other end of the octagon. That is a big problem. The range of that kick absolutely needs to be nerfed. It should not cover that much distance. That kick is a kick that you throw when you're at a kicking range, but you're not so far from your opponent that you need to overextend to be able to land that. Jon Jones throws that kick perfectly. Conor McGregor throws that kick perfectly. There are a lot of references out there for you to look at to see exactly what this kick should look like in an actual fight, and it needs to be reanimated. Number 9 is the spinning elbow. The spinning elbow in EA Sports UFC 2. This is what it looks like. Now this is what an actual spinning elbow is supposed to look like. What's the difference you see? Personally, I don't like the fact that the spinning elbow in EA Sports UFC 2 does not actually spin. The elbow stops halfway and then you return to your neutral stance. That is not the way that technique is thrown. When you look at the way Jon Jones throws it, he performs a complete 360 as he spins around with that elbow, and if he does miss, he spins around completely, returning to his original stance. He doesn't spin halfway, land the elbow, and then return to the original stance. I have a big problem with the way that strike looks in the game. I think it needs to be revisited. I think it needs to be reanimated. Give it the correct 360 spin. It needs to be a whole circle when you're spinning with that elbow. It needs to go full circle and return back. Do not cut it halfway like you did in EA Sports UFC 1 and EA Sports UFC 2. Definitely needs some work. Number 8 is the Teep kick. An actual Teep kick. The fighter bends at the knee, pushes forward, and pushes the opponent backwards. The fighter should bend at the knee, push forward, and actually cause the opponent to take a couple steps back. I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. There are lots and lots and lots of references in actual MMA fights and kickboxing matches for you to look at and see exactly what this technique is supposed to look like. I really hope to God that we do not see the same exact Teep kick animation that we saw in EA Sports UFC 1, EA Sports UFC 2. I hope it does not return in UFC 3. Reanimate that kick, get it right, and actually add the pushback to the opponent. If I land that kick, I don't want the opponent just standing there looking at me like I didn't just push him backwards. Cause the opponent to stumble backwards a little bit to give me the impression that I actually landed a tip kick, a kick that's designed to keep opponents at bay, a kick that's designed to push opponents backwards when they start closing too much distance on you. Reanimate that kick and get it right. Number 7 is so ugly, I am not even sure where to even begin. Number 7 is the axe kick. The axe kick in EA Sports UFC 2 is so terribly animated, so labored, so over the top, so over exaggerated. Every single time I see that kick performed, it just boggles my mind, and it's so comical too, because a kick that's so animated like that and so over exaggerated in the game, when it lands, it barely tickles the opponent. It's like you lift up your legs up in the air and you slam it on your opponent's forehead, and the opponent stands there looking at you like, what? Did you just land the kick? Oh, that really tickled. Now, there are a lot of ways that you can throw the axe kick. I've seen fighters go straight up and come straight down, but the way that I mostly see that kick thrown in MMA, in kickboxing, is the way Jon Jones throws it, the way Jon Jones used it against Glover, the way he used it against Daniel Cormier. And he doesn't go directly up and come directly down. It comes at an angle, so it goes like that. It goes this way and drops that way. Notice it's not going directly up and coming directly down. It's coming at an angle. It flies sideways, creates an arc, and then comes directly down. That's the way I would like to see the axe kick animated for UFC 3. Please animate it correctly. Do not return the same exact animation that we've had the past 2 games. It is ugly, it is wrong, the technique is completely wrong, it is way too labored, way too over exaggerated. Fix it. Number 6 is the front leg side kick. I really don't understand how they got this one wrong. Jon Jones, Lyoto Machida, Anderson Silva, Conor McGregor are just a few fighters that we've seen use this kick in mixed martial arts, in MMA, in the UFC. It's a very easy kick to throw. This is what an actual front leg side kick looks like. This is what it looks like when Jon Jones throws it. The biggest issue I have with the front leg side kick in EA Sports UFC 2 is that the kick looks like it has absolutely no impact at all. It doesn't look like the kick can stop anyone in their tracks, and that is one of the most effective kicks to target at an opponent's leg when they're closing the distance on you and actually stop them in their tracks. The kick targets the knee. It's an actual stump. The fighter lifts up his lead leg, throws it forward, stumps on the opponent's knee, and stops him in his tracks. In EA Sports UFC 2, it's a mess. I can't describe the way it looks like. You just have to look at it, and when you look at it immediately and you compare it to an actual front leg side kick, you know that is not what it should look like. It definitely needs to be reanimated. It cannot return. The same exact one we had in the past 2 games cannot return. I mean, UFC Undisputed 3 got this thing right. I don't understand how they were able to get this animation right, but you were not able to get it right. Please fix it. Get the animation correctly. You have lots and lots of references. Jon Jones, Anderson Silva, Conor McGregor, Lyoto Machida. Enough fighters have done this in MMA enough times for you to look at the technique performed in the octagon and compare it to what you have in the game, and you will clearly see you need some work done. Number 5 is very similar to the front leg side kick. I am talking about the oblique. Now, the front leg side kick is performed with the lead leg. The oblique is performed with the back leg, and Jon Jones does this very, very well. When you look at the way Jon Jones does it, here's an example of Jon Jones throwing the oblique. EA Sports UFC 2 oblique kicks are way too labored. If you throw it from any sort of distance, the fighter almost jumps off the ground, does this exaggerated motion of it's so ugly to look at. It's such an ugly technique to look at in EA Sports UFC 2, and it's so slow and so sluggish, but when you look at Jon Jones throws it, it's instant. He just pops it out there, stops the opponent in its tracks, and that's exactly the way it should look like. I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. You have a lot of references. Jon Jones does this in almost all his fights, and a lot of people hate this technique. It destroys the opponent's knee. Fighters have to eat. We have to ban that kick. Jon Jones does it enough times for you to look at references and see exactly what this kick is supposed to look like. So please reanimate the kick and please get it right. Number four is a kick that Conor McGregor kind of made famous in the UFC when he used it against Chad Mendes a few times, and I'm talking about the front kick to the body. The front kick to the body that Conor McGregor was throwing against Chad Mendes is very different from the actual Teep kick. In EA Sports UFC 2, as always, it is over exaggerated. I find a lot of the kicks in the game are just way too exaggerated. The way his hands flail in the air as he throws it and his hair flies backwards, it's almost like a ballerina just throwing a little tap to your body. It's like, I don't expect this kick to do anything. Like, when you look at the way the kick is thrown in the game, it's like, how can you expect this little pitty-pat flick of the foot to do anything at all? When you watch Conor McGregor throw it though, it has impact. You see him lean backwards, dig the ball of his feet directly into the opponent's gut, and that's how he was able to completely sap Chad Mendes of his stamina. Granted, Chad Mendes came into the fight on short notice. Yes, he did, but Conor McGregor used that kick very effectively, and the reference is there. Watch how Conor throws it. Look at the way he leans back. Look at the arm position. Look at where he's landing the actual kick. It's with the ball of his feet. Compare that to what you have in the game. Look at the speed of that actual kick. It's not slow and over exaggerated. The arm movements are not all over the place like a freaking ballerina. It's tight, it's compact, it's direct, it's straight to the target, it's landed with the ball of the feet. Please fix it. Please fix it. Number three really hurts my heart. It really does, because this is a technique that I hold very dear to me. It's one of my favorite techniques in Muay Thai, and that is the switch kick. The switch kick to the body. Number three, the switch kick to the body. Oh my god, it's so bad. Here's what a switch kick to the body in EA Sports UFC 2 looks like. Okay, now watch Edson Barboza throw a switch kick to the body. Notice the switch. Notice how fast the switch is. You can barely see the switch when he switches, and notice how quickly he brings that leg up, snaps it into the opponent's body, brings the leg back, and returns to his stance. It is so difficult to explain the way this kick works. It's something you just have to watch. Watch it. Look at his arm position. Look at how quickly this switch happens. It's not this exaggerated, once again, overly exaggerated. I don't understand why they over exaggerate their animations in the game. I don't understand it, but the switch in EA Sports UFC 2 looks weak as hell. It doesn't look like he could do any sort of impact at all. It looks, once again, like a ballerina doing her dance routine. The fighter does this slow, sluggish switch, barely brings his feet up, gives you a little love tap to the body, and that's supposed to do damage. That has to be fixed. It absolutely needs to be fixed. The switch has to be faster, snappier. The kick needs to happen instantaneously, and it needs to have some impact to it. You need to sell that kick. Make me believe that this kick that was just thrown to this fighter's midsection has enough power to break a rib, because it does. Please fix it. Number two is very similar to number three, and that is the switch kick to the head. Now, I know I'm gonna get that comment. Oh my god, Martial Minds over there making comments about fixed animations. Do you even train, bro? Do you even know how to throw a kick? I know how to throw the switch kick. Did that look like a switch kick? Did that look like a switch kick to the head? Let's look at what the switch kick to the head in EA Sports UFC 2 looks like. The switch needs to happen faster. Basically the same exact thing that I talked about for the switch kick to the body. The switch needs to be less exaggerated. It needs to happen quicker. The feet needs to lift off the air faster. The kick needs to look like it actually has some kind of impact. And when it lands, you need to sell it. It's all about selling it. Reduce the exaggeration. Make it more compact, straight to the point. Enough with the arm flailing all over the place. Notice the arm position. Notice every single thing that goes into that kick. And please get it right. Please get it right. The last and not the least, the number one, the zenith, the peak, the number one technique that absolutely needs to be fixed, needs to be reanimated for UFC 3 is my favorite strike in all of kickboxing. Absolute favorite strike in all of kickboxing. One of the most beautiful techniques you can perform in kickboxing. The Brazilian kick. This kick right here has a mind of its own. It is literally art. The way the leg lifts up the ground. Guys, I can't, there are no words to express how beautiful this kick is when it's thrown correctly. Actually, Holly Holm dropped Germaine Durandamy with that same kick. I believe it was in the 4th round. She threw a lead Brazilian kick, beautiful Brazilian kick, the question mark kick, caught Durandamy in the back of the head, dropped her, and I can't get enough of it. I can't get enough of it. Was it animated properly in EA Sports UFC 2? Absolutely not. Once again, so exaggerated. The fighter starts from all the other side of the octagon, lifts up the legs, does this overly exaggerated question mark in the air, and lands with the foot. What the seriously? You've never seen an actual Brazilian kick thrown? Come on. Carlos Condit players will throw that kick repeatedly at you, and every single time I get hit with that kick, it really annoys me because of how ugly it actually is. It needs to be reanimated. Guys, please watch fights, look at references. There are so many of them out there, and animate this kick properly. I cannot express in words how important this strike is in kickboxing and how beautiful it will be if you actually get it right. Funny thing, UFC Undisputed 3 actually got it right. If you watch Anthony Pettis in UFC Undisputed 3 throw the Brazilian kick, it's a beauty. It's so beautiful, both the lead one and the rear one. Why are you not able to do it properly? Please get it right. Please get it right. But that's it. That is it. My top 10 strikes. Top 10 strikes that I believe absolutely needs to be reanimated for EA Sports UFC 3. If you have your own top 10, let me know in the comment section below. I am very eager to see what you guys have to say. But for me personally, these strikes are, they're basic strikes. They're very important techniques. They're strikes that we see thrown very, very often in the octagon, and I believe that it really needs special attention, more attention than jumping off the cage, capoeira strikes, flying knees, spinning kicks, spinning shit. These are the basic strikes, the basics. You absolutely have to nail them for you to nail kickboxing, and I really, really hope that whoever it is that you're bringing in to animate these strikes is a competent kickboxer, or at the very least someone who understands the way these techniques should be thrown properly. Please supervise the motion capture session. Look at references. Look at what the fighter that's doing the motion capture is doing. Is he doing it? Is it doing it properly? If he's not, stop him. Have him do it properly. Please get it right. Please get it right. That's all I've got. That's all I've got. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comment section what you thought about it, and I will see you very, very shortly. As always, keep yourself safe and have a wonderful day.